Hello and welcome to the for loop in PHP tutorial. This is a little tutorial just to go through the for loop and help you out to know what exactly it is and what it does. So what is the for loop in PHP? The for loop is a block of code that you'd use to set up parameters to test arrays in PHP. When do we want to use it? Only use the for loop when you know how many times you want to iterate through an array. What does it look like? Here's an example of how it looks. Wait, slow down and break it up for me, please. For, this is where you assign the starting point of the variable right here, this first section. There's 3 sections. So, for example, we have a variable of x that equals 0. This tells the computer to start in the first index of the array and stores that starting point in the variable x. Next thing we do is we set a range within the array to go through. And so this is what it is right here. It's x is less than or equal to 10, so we're only going from 0 to 10. And it'll keep going through that until it's false, and as soon as it's false, the loop ends. And then the last part is pretty much telling it to increment. So from 0 until it gets to 10, we want it to increment. We can also decrement. And then, of course, we echo it down here. It's going to display the number is x, and then it'll do it on separate lines. So let's show it all together. Here's the code. This is what it looks like. It's iterating, and here's how it's going to echo. And it stops at 10 because after 10 it comes up false, so it exits the loop. So what happens if you leave the range empty? Well, because there's nothing to limit the range of the loop, it will go on and on and on. It is known as an infinite loop. When would you use that? Well, first of all, you don't want to echo forever because that would probably kill your computer. The next thing to think about would be an ATM machine. When you go to an ATM machine and you go through the menu, it is on a cycle that is going forever. And that's because they're using for loops to keep the program running so it doesn't just stop and exit out when it's all done. What happens if I use a comma in the range instead of a number, for example? So where this purple comma is, that just adds more things that you can do. So within these parameters, you can say, well, first test to see if x is less than or equal to 10, and then test if x is less than or equal to 20. And here's kind of what it looks like. It goes through, and it'll say true, and then it adds 1 each time until it gets to 11. Then it does the same thing for this. However, here's the thing, here's the catch. Only the second parameter, only this guy right here, x is less than or equal to 20, will be the one that will be evaluated by the computer in the end. So this is the one it looks at last. It doesn't care about anything else before it. If this is false, it's still only going to show this. But if this is false, it's going to ignore everything else and it won't show anything at all. When would you use that? Well, if you want to test more than one thing in a single loop, then you would do that rather than writing a whole bunch of for loops. So what is the for loop again? It is a block of code that you'd use to set up parameters to test arrays in PHP, and only use it when you know how many times you want to iterate through an array. Thank you.